I still actually particularly enjoy elastic, sellotape, and those wrappers that you get tiny straws in that come on juice boxes. I would eat or swallow things that I knew would probably harm me, that I would enjoy like other people enjoy normal food. The urge to actually consume that is a bit different. I started off by, I think it was mainly like loose threads off clothes and things I would just pull off and eat. I think my parents assumed I still would grow out of it. I used to eat bottle lids, as in like water bottle lids, and they would always make me choke. Other bits of plastic thread, paint. Yes, I used to like dried up glue quite a lot. I've had lots of like coughing fits and things in classes and things that other people have just been like a bit surprised or not really sure where they came from. And I had lots of teachers thinking I was chewing gum, and then they do the classic thing of, open your mouth, and I just quickly push whatever I was chewing under in a lip. I was quite an easy target for bullying. Later on, my other mental health problems came to the surface that interact with my picker in quite a dangerous way, and I would eat or swallow things that I knew would probably harm me. I've had quite a few hospital procedures where I have to use a net to remove things, and have to go back for x-rays and so on to check that it's come through. And it's a very unusual way of hurting myself, according to them, because they didn't know I had picker. And I just felt a bit too embarrassed to bring it up. I've been on a few psychiatric wards for other complications. So it was not until I was with my partner where I can talk about it openly that I did ever talk about it openly. So I met my partner Chris at university and we became best friends pretty quickly, and then got together a couple of years later. And something I remember particularly about when we were first getting to know each other, then we'd have go get hot chocolate together, and I could just talk really openly with him, and he could talk openly with me as well about things he hadn't spoken to other people about, and it felt really nice. And then at one point I mentioned that I think I was in the library and had been studying late. I was having a break and was talking to Chris, and just mentioned, oh yeah, sometimes I put things in my mouth, and he was like, what things? And then I was like, no, I regret bringing this up. And he was saying, oh, well, now you've got me wondering. So I did tell him, and it was fine, and it's been really nice and supportive. And he's asked me, what can I do to help? What is it that you like about it? I think it's important to be able to have someone who can ask questions so that they're not wondering or they're not confused about it, but also ask questions in a sort of curious and gentle way, which is always what he's done. And then empower me to feel like I can say, oh, I was going to do this, but I'm not anymore, or oh, that wrapper looks tempting, can you put it in the bin, or I'm going to go and put it in the bin now, or depending on sort of who's nearer, he might encourage me to deal with it myself, which is very empowering and encouraging. So yeah, he's been really good in that kind of area, and just not judgmental. But I was also surprised actually how many people on the internet, on social media, were kinder than I'd thought, because I've done a lot of body positivity posts, and you inevitably get 5 or 6 messages that say, like, oh, you're hideous, you're obese, you need to lose weight, disgusting, why are you promoting all sorts of stuff that isn't appropriate for the community, particularly when we're thinking about the audience I have, people with mainly with eating disorders or other mental health problems. So I hadn't mentioned picker for the first 3 years, I think, that I had the account, and then I finally started including it in awareness posts, and then eventually sort of nudged towards, actually I do kind of have experiences of this, to doing a full blown up post of what it was like for me, and awareness and treatment and so on. And I didn't get as many "this is disgusting" comments as I'd thought, but also when I did, then other followers were rallying behind and being like, oh, that's not appropriate, that's not fair, stop that, that's not kind of thing. And it was nice to have that for something that was less obvious than just saying that I'm ugly or something, where it's a bit easier for people to object normally and think, no, that's bad, than saying that I'm disgusting. I've had a lot of very rude language and people sending me unwanted pictures. Normally I just tend to laugh about it, and I'm very lucky to have a partner who also finds these things amusing. I decided that I wanted to sort of be the bigger person if somebody messages something unkind. I've always wanted to do something creative or something that helps other people, so I've tried to merge them together with my art, which I feel very lucky to be pursuing at the moment. So I like to look at pretty things and recreate those to sort of capture that there is beauty, there is a lot of beauty in the world, even if there's also a lot of struggling. Yeah, I used to write poetry as well, and I got quite good at that too. So I've always been somehow going to go into something creative. But the issue was that I wrote about much. I tried to sort of explore and understand the darker parts of my experience of life, which kind of made them feel a bit bigger, and I think didn't really help in the long term that the actual writing process wasn't necessarily happy, because I was trying to unpick things. And while it was a great sort of therapy process, it wasn't, it's not something I currently do, because I'd much rather look at beautiful things like I do in my art than unpick the dark and confused world that I otherwise have. So I'm a self-taught artist. I taught myself while I was having to take time off from jobs, or before that school, and had hospital admissions for psychiatric problems. Then I'd bring materials with me, and I'd be doing things in my room where there was spare time, whether it was to express myself, whether it was through art therapy, which I was fortunate enough to receive as a child. And I really wanted to give that a go. Lockdown gave me a chance to properly focus on it as well, what with being stuck indoors. And I decided that I wanted to give myself a year to really give this a chance. So I'm currently about halfway through that year, trying to grow a bit of a brand, sell my art, work out how I can make a living from it. And I really hope I can continue after this year. I started my account when I was first sort of trying out recovery, as a chance to post my victories, but also get some support from other people. And then once I was doing better and discovered that I could be the support for other people, then that was really appealing, and really enjoyable, and a great way to reflect on difficult times and think, okay, well, how did I get through this? How could this help someone else? And I think that particularly helped when my friends were moving on and they'd all gone to uni or got jobs, and I was still taking time out ready to go back into sixth form or whatever. Then it was helpful to know that I was sort of giving back to the community and had my thing going at the same time. And then it's only been recently that I've started showing my art on there as well. I'm still trying to continue with mental health stuff, but where before it was perhaps raising awareness or providing encouragement, support, and telling my story, it's now also got a little focus on, well, you can have a life after mental illness, after you've done all the recovery work, and that doesn't have to be completely mental illness focused. It can be thinking about what you want to do next, which for me is art. I wish people would be less judgmental, and I think you can acknowledge that the behaviour isn't hygienic and it's not ideal without calling someone disgusting or anything like that that's going to make them feel embarrassed or like they can't come forward and they've got to hide their behaviour. And also just to share how actually common it is. I mean, if you think, I know so many people who chewed a biro or a pencil or chew their nails, or did at one point in their life, and that's not so different from things that I'm doing. So just, I don't know, it's just trying to acknowledge that it's not that outlandish, it's not that mad or anything. It does happen, and it's more common than we think, and we shouldn't be embarrassed to acknowledge that we have it and to be able to seek support.